I recently tracked my sales for two very specific goals. The first one was going a month with daily new customers, and the second goal was to welcome 200 new members. In this episode, I'll share my key lessons, especially when it comes to my sales mindset and seeing what works. Welcome to the Soulful Sales Show, where we talk about believing in the value of your offers, getting them in front of your right people, and selling more of what you do in your unique way. Hi, and welcome back to another episode of the Soulful Sales Show. So today I wanted to share a little bit of behind the scenes. I have been working on a couple of sales goals over the last few months, and I've noticed some surprising lessons from really being very intentional about tracking these goals. Now, let me give you a bit of context. Although I do like the numbers and I do love a spreadsheet, I am not the person who religiously tracks everything that's happening in my business. And actually, at the start of this year, I was way more intentional about setting up systems to track things more, especially because I want to spend more money on Facebook ads. And I feel like it's just a really smart up level for my business to create these systems where I'm really more consciously tracking results and focusing my energy on what is actually working. But even though that was really a project for the start of this year, there have been a couple of goals that I was more specific about in 2024. The first goal was to track daily new sales. So I was really for a while focusing on bringing in a new customer sale, so not counting recurring payment plans or membership payments for an entire month. That was a goal of mine for a while. So I actually already had a Google Doc where I track my daily sales. I get in and out of the habit of tracking my daily sales. I really do recommend it for keeping on top of the money stuff. But yeah, for the purposes of this goal to bring in a new sale for a whole month, I had a Google document where I was not just tracking all the sales that were coming in, but I was also color coding the spreadsheet for every single day where it was a total new sale, like not just a recurring payment. And then my second goal was the 200 member experiment. This is actually a paid offer of mine. It's a very reasonably priced paid offer and it's very juicy behind the scenes. If you are a member of the Soulful Sales Society, you actually get it for free. But if not, you can go to ruthpoundwhite.com/200 members. So this is the 200 member experiment. Basically, my goal was to welcome 200 members into either of my memberships in total and to see how long it takes. That experiment is actually still in progress. I'm 60 something % of the way there after 4 months. So for that one, I have an Airtable where I track all of my members. I've actually had this Airtable for a long time, but what I realized, maybe I'm getting ahead of myself here, is that I wasn't checking it enough. I wasn't actually going in and checking it and knowing what the numbers were month to month, week to week. So they're the two goals that I really specifically kind of checked in more frequently with, shall we say, and kept track of what was happening either on a daily basis for my daily new sales goal or a weekly basis for my 200 member experiment. So let me share the lessons from tracking more consciously, more actively in these ways. The first big lesson is that I make more sales when I am properly tracking. I really do need to add a massive caveat to this though and say that sometimes it is hard. And I think the thing that puts us off having a goal that we check in with so regularly is that there are times when you have to check in and note down that you have made 0 sales. And that is tough. And I think that's why a lot of us bury our head in the sand and don't track this stuff or don't keep it front of mind, because it's hard to face that number when the number is 0 or when the number is lower than you would like. But I still want to argue that you will make more sales even if you are tracking 0 again and again and again. You will make more sales because you will always make better decisions about what to do with your offers and what to do in your business when you know the facts. And I think that is absolutely the case for me. What I really noticed when it came to my 200 member experiment, so I started this probably at the end of October, beginning of November 2024, and I was releasing weekly updates for the people who have access to the 200 member experiment. I was releasing weekly updates through those last 2 months of the year. And then I had a break for Christmas, New Year. And then when I came back, I decided to switch to updating every other week because I have, it just feels like a lot to update weekly. But what I noticed when I reduce the frequency of the updates is I have made way less progress towards my goal. Like I made a significant amount of progress towards my 200 member experiment in 2 months only. In fact, let me go and check the numbers. Okay, so I just quickly went and pulled up my 200 member experiment and I saw that I made probably 50% of the way towards my goal. So that's 100 new members in the space of just 2 months of the experiment when I was updating weekly. And since then, it has been almost 2 months at the time of recording of 2025, and I have grown by just a further 20-ish%. The difference is huge, so huge. And I know part of the reason why, and I'll share the other part in a sec, is because it was front of mind. Like every single week, I knew I had to share an update with the people who had bought that offer. So I was consciously thinking, what can I do to grow my membership this week? What can I do to grow my membership this week? And I think that is the key point I want to make about having a sales goal like this. The fact that you are in there tracking the numbers regularly is reinforcing and reminding you, like, I have this goal and I need to take action towards this goal. Sometimes it feels like pressure, don't get me wrong, but it is really, really powerful in actually making the goal happen. Like that difference in 50%, like getting 100 new members in 2 months, and then how quickly that has slowed down in the new year is just wild to me. So that is lesson 1. Tracking makes you more sales, but sometimes you're going to have to be okay. Potentially a lot of times you're going to have to be okay with tracking 0 sales and facing that so that you can remind yourself of the goal, reconnect to the goal, and not give up on the goal. That's probably the biggest lesson I want to share with you, but I do have a few others as well. So lesson number 2 is that I did feel that tracking too much did hold me back from other projects. And that is why I made the decision, and this is the other part of the reason why the sales dropped. This is why I made the decision to change to every other week updates, because I know I am, behind the scenes, I'm doing so much work on my new summit, the Mess of Success. Registration is going to be open fairly soon, by the way. So go to messofsuccess.com to sign up for the waitlist for that. But yeah, I'm working on the Mess of Success and I knew I had to focus my energy elsewhere. So being overly focused on the goal is very, very helpful for like a sprint towards it and a burst of energy. But sometimes you have to be honest with yourself and ask yourself, like, does my attention need to go elsewhere for a while? Is this becoming too much pressure? There's a fine line between the two, I think. So I was very conscious in my decision and I shared that with everyone who is subscribed to the behind the scenes updates. And I do feel good about it, but I probably am going to try and ramp things up again soon when it feels right for my capacity. So that's lesson number 2. Lesson number 3, small, consistent selling actions really add up. So it sounds kind of sexy to share the headline numbers, right? That I have 100 and something new members within a few months. The reality of getting that number of members within a few months is not doing a big launch. The reality of that is being really consistent and persistent about mentioning the membership again and again and again, or about weaving the membership into things I'm already doing. So for example, having an upsell. When I've been part of a bundle, there's an upsell to join my membership off the back of that bundle, things like that, or linking to it in the footer of all of my emails. The same goes for my daily new sales. Like when I first started tracking that goal and when I thought I was really going to hit it was when I did a summit. And I was so shocked because the summit, the period for me promoting a summit is longer than most of my launch periods. And sales do tend to come in, throughout weeks, a period of weeks. But I actually didn't hit my sales goal during that period. The time when I hit it was a time when I didn't have a big launch, when I had a lot of little things going on. And it really proves to me again that small, consistent, and when I say consistent, by the way, I am not the person who is consistently posting on social media every day or doing things on a fixed schedule, but I am persistent in the way I show up. That makes a difference. It's not all about the dramatic launches, although yes, I do recommend scheduling a few big launches a year, but generally the small, regular actions add up, which is why we do a Sell Every Day challenge in the Soulful Sales Society membership, because I want to help you build that muscle. And it can feel really slow at the time. Like if you're looking at it on like a micro level, like every day, oh, I only made 1 sale or I made no sales, whatever. But when you zoom out and you see how much it's added up over time, it's a really big deal. Okay, lesson 4. Sales happen even when it doesn't feel like it. This is so important. If you are not regularly tracking, then I can guarantee you that you are not seeing the truth of what sales actually look like in your business. Even if it feels like you're not selling enough, When you track more consistently, you will notice sales happening even when you don't feel like they are. This has definitely been the case with my membership. Yes, I can put like surges in new members down to me taking specific actions, but I also have the trickle of new members coming in between. And tracking it regularly is really, really helpful for me to see that that's happening. It's a really, really powerful mindset boost. And then the final lesson, what are we up to? Lesson 5. Tracking regularly helps me see more about what works and what doesn't. So when I started the 200 member experiment, I had been trying loads of things to grow my membership. So one of my memberships was almost a year old. The other one was like a year and a half old. And I tried loads of things to grow the membership, but I realized that I had not been tracking each specific strategy that I had tested, and that therefore there was a gap in my understanding. There was a gap in the lessons that I could be learning. So tracking more regularly and just making a few notes, and I've been forced to make these notes because I deliberately sold a behind the scenes offer for people to follow along, which has been really good for motivating me, by the way. Highly recommend. Making these notes has really taught me strategies that have been working for me. I saw really clearly that when I went through a period of sending daily emails in November, that worked really, really well for me. And specific strategies like adding an upsell to certain bundles maybe didn't work the way I wanted to, but adding it to a different product worked really well, things like that. So tracking more and just spending, I'm talking about like a minute checking in. When you see the new numbers, like, okay, 5 members joined this week, where did they come from? I basically have a little note in Notion where I write this for each update, a little table, how many new members, and then a note beside it, where did they come from? Spending a few seconds on that every week or every other week is really adding up to a lot of really important and helpful data for me over time. And hopefully for you as well, if you are listening to the 200 member experiment. So yeah, they are my 5 lessons from tracking these 2 very specific sales goals. And before we end, I just want to say I am not consistently tracking my daily sales at the moment, but I'm trying to get myself back into the habit, which is what inspired me to record this episode. So I just want to be real with you and say there are times I get out of the habit. Life happens. I'm obviously tracking for, accounting reasons. I have like bookkeeping, that's always being tracked. But there's a difference between accounting and tracking in a way that you can, notice trends from, that you can learn your lessons from as to what's working and what's not, what strategies are working, what's not. And also, noticing like the daily sales in terms of very specific goals. That's not easy to track just from my bookkeeping. And there's too much information when it comes to the bookkeeping. So I really recommend having a very simple system to track these kind of specific goals for yourself as well. But yeah, I am not perfect. I do not do it all the time. That said, the 200 member experiment is still in progress, and I have kept that up for the last almost 4 months now, and I'm about 70% towards the goal. So I'm looking forward to the day when I can share that I have met the 200 goal. Oh, and I guess this is a bonus lesson. I know that goal is happening. It hasn't happened yet. It didn't happen within the initial time frame that I set the goal for, but I can see like I am making progress all the time. Some weeks the progress is very small. Some weeks the progress is quite a big jump, but I know that goal is happening. And that is a very, very powerful thing to be able to see on paper / on the computer screen. Anyway, like I said, if you want the 200 member experiment, go to ruthpoundwhite.com/200 members. Or if you're a member of the Soulful Sales Society, you will get that for free. That's ruthpoundwhite.com/SSS. And go sign up to the waitlist for the Mess of Success at messofsuccess.com. And finally, I need to let you know that I am running my very popular $10 Soulful and Strategic freebie bootcamp starting March the 3rd. The idea behind this is that you can quickly and easily create a freebie that more naturally ties into sales of your paid offers. It is only $10. People love this. If you get the freebie created within the week, which my lessons will make hopefully as easy as possible for you to do. The lessons are very short and to the point deliberately. Take action, get it done, then I will share your freebie with my entire audience of around 6,000 people. So if having a freebie created or creating a new freebie has been on your to-do list for way too long, it is on my to-do list as well. So I am creating a new freebie as well. Then go to ruthpoundwhite.com/bootcamp and sign up for $10. If you are in the Soulful Sales Society or the Soulful Growth Club, you will get that for free as a member. So yeah, ruthpoundwhite.com/bootcamp. It's going to be great. It's one of my most popular live things, and it is only $10. All right, so that is it from me today. And I just want to, before we finish, encourage you to take a step when it comes to tracking. What is a goal that you are working towards at the moment? How connected do you feel about that goal? How much do you really know the facts of what is happening with that goal? Set something up, track it for yourself. The most simple thing you can do is track what you sold today and where the sale came from. All right, I'll catch you again next week. Thank you so much for listening to another episode of Soulful Sales. If you have a moment to rate and review, know that it really does make a difference. And if you'd like to carry on the conversation, then you can connect with me on Instagram at Ruth Poundwhite, sign up to my newsletter at ruthpoundwhite.com/newsletter, or my personal favorite, join me inside the low ticket membership at ruthpoundwhite.com/membership. And keep doing what you're doing, because your work really does matter.